if we just need to upload it.
Yeah, it says it's live. Can you check?
Yeah.
See if we're live. Hang on. The beginning of the video is probably hilarious. We're just all sort of like, hello.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yep.
hey Claudette. Yeah, you could just add the stuff to the post and tag Pelican and George and all of us in a little
Yeah.
bit. So, okay, cool. We are live. What's up, Asphalt Lifers? We're officially live. We're gonna go ahead and get this party started. And Claudette, if you could have this on gallery view for us for the live stream, that'd be awesome. I don't know if you can control that. But it is Friday, technical difficulties. What are we going to do, man? We're just going to hang out a few extra minutes. That's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a full 30 minutes of Pro Talk here with our very special guest today. We're coming to you live from the Facebook Live page, Atlas Roofing Shingles Facebook page. And we've got a really special guest today. I'm getting a little echo, so Tiara, Claudia, if you could just be aware of that too, just so we're not getting that little tinny, as Rick Galactic would say. But let me go ahead and introduce our special guest, but also remind you guys that if you comment or say hello during the live feed, we will definitely make sure that we can get you guys a couple of Asphalt Life prize packs sent out as well. So we'll be excited to do that. But without further ado, let's introduce George. George from Pelican Roofing, coming to you from the great state of Louisiana. George, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to be with you guys and chat it up.
Awesome. We're happy you're here, man. We're excited to talk to you. We got some really great topics, several things we hadn't really covered yet, which I think will be good. And things are changing, right? Times are changing. So things are starting to loosen up and people are getting a little antsy, but we've obviously a lot to talk about. So I'm trying to figure out which of you is which. I can't tell over here on the other side of the screen, though. We've got this, we've got Jody and Clay over here, you know, and I'm getting like these weird calls from Facebook for some reason. I have no idea what this is about. I've never had this before. Incoming video chat in the middle of a video chat call. This is totally bizarre. Anyway, unconventional Pro Talk on this Friday. Clay Pruitt, our region sales manager out of Louisiana, on the bottom left-hand corner, and Jody Parker, our territory sales rep out of Louisiana, up top left. Guys, how we doing?
Doing great. It's Friday. You know, unsettling times, but we're getting through it 4 weeks in, you know.
Absolutely.
So, glad to be here. Glad to be for George to be here too. It's good.
Yeah. Well, I guess you guys coordinated your outfits. Is that what happened?
I'm telling you. Yeah. We're starting to work too close together, I guess, here in South.
I'm envious of the beards, though. I've always been envious of those full beards, 'cause I got like the patchy one that no one really likes. They don't want to tell you, but it's just like that bad.
Yeah.
Well, let's say hello to a few people that are watching us live. Paul Saharsky, Green Bay's in the house. Earl Davis from Ohio. Alyssa Rogers. Greg Wary, and also Earl Davis Hinkle from Van Dyne Roofing. What's up, guys? Welcome to the live stream. So let's kick things off. I got to know about what's behind you, George. You told me that's a little motivation for you every day. So tell me what's going on with that beautiful piece of art behind you and how it keeps you motivated.
Well, I wasn't quite ready to get the tattoo, so I just put it on my back wall. But it's really like a $30-something piece of Hobby Lobby art. But for me, it's about expansion and a good reminder as I come into my office every day to remember to grow. And there's always opportunities to do that. And so I get to see that every day and stretch myself a little bit, try to learn something, you know.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Well, I think that's, you know, it's important to find motivation anywhere you can. I think that's key, right? And, you know, having that constant reminder behind you is good. So I surround myself with things that someday might be good, you know, but just keep us alive, like these Michigan emblems. I surround myself with all this stuff, constant disappointment. But I look at guys like these huge LSU fans, man, who go on long routes too. So someday we can be as cool as you guys. Well, hello to Earl, Rob, Angel, and Jeff, who also just joined us, and Stephanie. So welcome, guys. So, George, let's kick things off and talk a little bit about how to take advantage of the change of pace and the change of style right now, and how Pelican is taking advantage of that in today's environment.
Yeah, you know, one of the first things I noticed once we had the stay-at-home order in place was usually there's 15 or so people in and out of our office on a daily basis. And all of a sudden there was 3, myself and 2 others. And within a couple of days, I started noticing that I was getting through my, I have a daily list that I keep that regenerates, and I usually don't get through that list, and then it just goes on to the next day. And I started getting through my list, and I realized I was a lot more efficient. Started thinking about it, and it's simply just the lack of interruptions.
Yeah.
And we've had a focus here for a while. I read a few books a few years back and started restructuring how we operated as a company to be more efficient, to batch our tasks, to not interrupt unnecessarily. But what I didn't realize is we were still doing a whole lot of that, just popping in the office. And so now we've got everybody working at home, and everybody's experiencing the same thing. So this has got me questioning just a different way to work. We have a strong emphasis here on culture. We try to have a lot of fun and keep it upbeat and enjoy what we do. And so we want to see each other, but I think there's probably a middle ground there that I'm searching for, where we can, I'm considering, like a 1 or 2 days where people are not in the office, on a rotating schedule, just to kind of break it up. And I've enjoyed, frankly, I've got a few hours of my day extra right now. So I'll go home for lunch for a couple hours. I might take a nap. I love naps, and hang out with the family a little bit or whatever. So, the pain is usually one of the great drivers of change. And this situation being a little uncomfortable has given us that opportunity. So I'm just looking to embrace it. I'm kind of afraid of it going away in that sense. I'm just getting back to the busyness of everything.
No question. I think that's like part of the fear is like, we've got to sort of understand some of the positives that have happened out of this, right? Clay, I saw you posted a real nice picture. It's like, I'm getting used to this. Like, you could be really productive in your home environment. And I think that's it's cultural, it's generational. It's about getting used to that. This has sort of forced us into it. So are those going to have long-lasting implications? I'd ask you, Clay, you with your team, and then Jody, how you've experienced that as well. Like, are these things that are here to stay, or do you think it's going to be right back to the grind as soon as everybody can get to it?
No, I think you hit it right on the head there with finding some positives, throughout this negative experience, or, some of this unknown territory we're in. But yeah, no doubt, I posted that picture last night with my dog going, I could get used to this. I think my dog and my wife and my kids are too. I've never been home this stretch in my career. Obviously in Atlas we do a lot of traveling, and it's weird. It's a good feeling. My kids are definitely getting used to it, but they're starting to ask questions. Do I have a job anymore? Why are we seeing you all day long? But so there's definitely some positives. But some of the positives I've seen is what we're doing right now. I think this business, for me personally, is still a relationship business and a face-to-face business. And it is really intriguing and interesting for us to adapt and find ways to still have that face-to-face interaction. So I think, I mentioned I had my team on a Zoom meeting yesterday, and it was more just to kind of see each other. And that was one thing I said on that call was I could see where we would be doing this once a month or once a quarter moving forward.
Right.
Just because we're getting used to it, and we're getting pretty good at these things. Technology, you got to embrace it, and those who do, I think, come out ahead. Yeah. So it's been interesting.
How about you, Jody? What's your experience been, man? You're trying to get up and running in the roofing industry, and generally speaking, you come with an unbelievable background in building materials, but learning the players in the industry, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, by the way, you can't travel, buddy. What's that been like for you, and how have you been able to take advantage of some of this?
It's been challenging. I'm ready to get back out there. If they said tomorrow that Monday we could take off, I would pack a suitcase and head out. Our household, my wife's a teacher, and so our kids are learning from home. My wife's teaching from home now. Yeah. So we're all working in the house, if you will. And that's been a little challenging, but we've learned to respect each other's spaces and times. And so it's been fun watching the kids do their homework and learn in school, and my wife teaching her class. It's been pretty cool to see. But if I could go tomorrow, I would tell Clay I'll see you next week.
Yeah, these Zoom meetings are, we've struggled for a couple of years to you want to meet with everybody on a regular basis, but in our business, you've got production guys out in the field. You've got sales guys on appointments, and finding a time where, some guys start at 6:30, 7 a.m. and
Right.
some come into the office at 8, and some of the sales guys come in after that. And that's been a real challenge. We've struggled to do that. And if you actually stop production, that's an expensive meeting.
Yeah.
So we started doing these Zoom meetings, and we're having them regularly now, and we're all seeing each other as a group. We've got project managers managing jobs. They'll just take a few minutes, go to their truck or whatever, and pop on. And so that's been real beneficial for us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Well, that's good stuff. Well, George, you sent me over a couple of topics and things of interest from your perspective, and one really stood out to me. So I want to kind of get where you were heading with this and what you were thinking, but timely. In this situation, how are you guys, and how can we sort of, help with managing the perception of roofing with the public, with your customers, right? Like, what's changing, and what are some things that are maybe both positive and negative during these times right now about the roofing industry, roofing contractors in general, and how are you guys managing that?
Yeah, I don't know that I have the answer, but I'm seeking it every day. You can just scroll through your Facebook feed and you'll see the full spectrum of opinions on this issue. And some people think we shouldn't be out there doing anything. Yeah. And some people, act like there's nothing going on. And, one thing I told in our first meeting after they shut schools down here a little over a month ago, I told guys, I said, look, we're still going out there, but I need you guys to give me feedback every single day, all of you, on what you're seeing out there. We need good data so we can make good decisions, because this thing's going to turn. Mm-hmm. And as Jody and Clay, I'm sure, can attest to, we have a very laid back culture here, laissez-faire, just whatever, things roll off our shoulders. And I suspected that we would kind of lag behind some other parts of the country in taking it serious. And sure enough, it was about 4 days after that meeting where things changed, and we had to really make an adjustment. We had, on our first Zoom meeting, we had one of our project managers said, hey, hold on a second. Let me, give me a minute. This guy's out here with a gun. He said a neighbor of a roof we were doing came out on his carport, sat down in a lawn chair with a shotgun on his lap. Wow. And we still don't really know exactly why that was. I think he was a little worked up by the news and what was going on, and he was trying to sleep, I think, and didn't like the sound of the work. But yeah, it's a tough thing because, as a business, you need a fight to stay alive in a time like this. You can't necessarily rely. Some people are getting a stimulus here. We were able to get a small amount, but only about 40% of what we should have, because we were all 1099 last year until July. And then everyone switched to W-2. Now everyone's a W-2 employee here. Well, they only allowed us to use that to apply for our PPP loan. So we were able to obtain something, but it was very small. And so, I don't know, that's like 2 or 3 weeks, if things went down. So, you're trying to do a number of things. You want to stay busy, keep everybody working, and at the same time be respectful of what's going on. And so we've just chosen to, just do it in a very responsible way and continue to take in that data so that we can understand what's happening out there in the field and make adjustments on the fly.
Yeah, we're deep into this thing now, and I think that people have strong opinions about it. You're absolutely right. Some people are like, you know what, we pivoted, but we're going to be doing work. We're going to take advantage of the fact we've been deemed essential. And then there's other people, like you said, on that other side of the spectrum there that are, really, really cautious because they want to be conscientious. And I think you hit the nail on the head. You're handling it, I think, as good as anybody could. We can't let the business die, but we've also got to be conscious that we don't want to create a bad reputation for our business, but also for our industry as like, hey, we're out doing things that are non-essential, but we're essential. Like, that's not good long-term for perceptions of how we're going to be able to continue to operate in our communities. So these are really, really good points that you're making. Let me shout out to a couple people here. You got a shout out directly. Easton is watching, says, what's up, Daddy? So
A 2-year-old.
I wanted to make sure you knew.
He's
Easter was
already typing. He's only 2.
That's awesome. We got Jeff and John in the house. Joe Yoder, he says, hey, I'm booking for 2 months strong and we're selling more. You know, we pivoted online. That's great. You know, again, keep on generating those contracts. You know, Joe Seifert, who we had on the other day, just commented, we need to get roofing. We agree, you know, again, that we got to do it in the right time for sure. You know, and then Rob West said, hey, we're blasting social media, hanging door hangers to set appointments for phone and email presentations. And, you know, we're pivoting, but it's, you know, trying to be business as usual. So these are good comments, right? And these are the experiences we're having across different areas of the country. So another topic of conversation that you brought up are really the long-term opportunities for this, George. And I guess I want to sort of talk to Jody and Clay, get your take on this from what you guys see. What kind of long-term opportunities is this creating in our space? And then George, have you kind of round that out after those guys with where you see the long-term ops. So Jody, take us away, man.
So long term, I think that we've all adapted to work virtually. So I think we want to do way more stuff and kind of connect with customers, both our distributor partners and our contractor partners, a lot more than just face to face. I agree with Clay 100%. It's about relationships and building those relationships. But selling product and technical data, we can do a lot more with iPads in separate states or separate cities than we can, you know, just being in front of them face to face. So I think we'll collaborate both of them and do traveling and see customers as well as do a lot of stuff virtually as well.
Yeah.
So it's taught us to learn some of this, you know, a lot quicker than we probably would have if we didn't have it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think we'll probably have, you know, similar opinions there. You know, I think anytime you can come out of a challenging situation, that creates a long-term opportunity because you always can look back and say, you know, we got through that together. And I think that's what we're doing. I think that's what we're doing at Atlas. I think, you know, George hit it right on the head. We, you know, down here, we do kind of have that laid back mentality, but I think it's also because we're used to getting kicked. You know, we have our share of bad times down here, and I think we all come through it together. So I think as we go through this together, it'll create a long-term opportunity. You know, I will say in the roofing business, it's, you know, unless you're in it, I think a lot of people view it as maybe a trade that is not very business savvy. And I think some of these things we're doing here is opening the eyes to not only, you know, people within the industry, but people outside of it. Our family members probably watching this right now that, you know, don't know much about roofing. It's kind of going, wow, this is a different industry now. You know, so I think what we're doing throughout all of this is going to create a long-term opportunity. And, you know, what we're doing together, what Jody as a sales rep can do for home for George, you know, and what I can do from home for my guys, that creates long-term opportunities.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. George, what about you, man? From your perspective as a business owner, as somebody who's obviously looking out for the interests of employees, right? You got your money on the line every day and, you know, you're trying to make sure that you can, you know, stay operational. But where do you see this from a business owner's perspective really impacting you long-term?
There's a few things, you know, both Clay and Jody have spoken a little about just the virtual nature, this shift that's occurring. So, you know, I think this is forcing it upon the industry. So you've got guys kind of already doing this stuff. And then you have some that have been a little more resistant. When everybody is forced to have these virtual presentations and e-sign everything and go about it in this virtual manner, the ones who don't do it are really not going to, they're going to look like dinosaurs. And so I think it's going to force the industry into another level of tech. I think there's a lot of automation that's happening too. So we've got a big focus right now on automating everything in our business. We're doing that with some of our spare time as we embrace technology, become more dependent on it. All of our CRMs have wonderful tools for us to do that. So I think there's going to be a lot greater efficiencies there. I think we're going to slowly rely less on the human than we will on the machine. We see that happening across all industries at an exponential rate. Right now, there's no reason to believe our industry would be any different. It doesn't take away the need for the human. I think it's just we don't need to rely on the human as much, except for the things that the machine can't do. And building those relationships, the machine can't do that. So I see those kind of changes, and I think whoever's on the front end of that is going to have a distinct advantage.
Yeah.
But then I'm also watching what the economic impact of all of this will be. And for the last couple of years, I've been listening to guys like Ray Dalio and Gary Vaynerchuk and Tony Robbins and some others that are kind of titans of finance say that there's indicators pointing towards us going into a recession, pre-virus stuff, you know? And so I'm wondering if this may kind of tip it a little bit. And, you know, I don't want to be a pessimist, but I want to be ready if it happens. And so I think those who are good problem solvers, I almost see a potential gap occurring here between just like that happens in any kind of economic downturn. You know, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. It's just fundamentally what happens, because some people have opportunities that others don't. And I'm wondering if that may occur in our industry as well. Well, some larger companies may thrive because they have the resources and they're able to solve problems at a high level. It doesn't mean the smaller guys can't do that, but to me, that's the, you know, I harp on that with all of our management here. If you can practice problem solving on a regular basis, because it's a skill that can be acquired, if you can really get good at that, we're at a distinct advantage over everybody else. We take in data, we make good decisions, and roll out new processes. And as things are changing so rapidly, and as they may with the economy, that gives someone that can solve problems a distinct advantage. So I'm doing a lot of watching and learning and talking to people, and you know, other business owners and other industries. I'm just trying to take it all in because it's so novel, and no one knows what the hell none of us know what we're talking about right now, you know? So
well, I think you do. I think you guys are experiencing it in real time. Like you're experiencing, you know, I don't want to be dramatic about it, but you're experiencing crisis in real time, right? It's like, you know, some of it's immediate, right? Do I have jobs? Can I pay my people? Can I have a crew out on a job site operating? What does my brand, you know, look like? All of these things. And some of these are foreseeing the crisis yet to come when, you know, the business changes, right? And are we prepared for that? So I think you're hitting the nail on the head that it's all about problem solving, and it's really thinking about how to do things in unique ways, but also taking advantage of these things that have been out there and now are becoming mainstream really, really quickly.
Yeah.
You know, we had a webinar on Wednesday with this AI company. I wouldn't have even really dreamed that we'd be partnering with a company that was focused on, you know, AI and machine learning and things like that, you know, 2 years ago. But now it's like, we've got to get on this really quickly because this is going to be the way to get to market. So we've got a couple of comments here. You know, Christian says, will this be the death of door knocking and the initial shift into different marketing methods, serving as a majority of lead gen? Would love people's opinions. I think we've heard a little bit about that. And we already had somebody comment right back, door knocking will never end, you know. And then, you know, somebody just said social media, technology, and hands-free contracts are playing a huge part in business, right? So I think the reality is, you need to, as a business owner, you want to put your customer in the driver's seat, right? Like give them the experience that makes the most sense for them. And that's what I think this looks like, right? I would agree, door knocking probably will never end. But to your point, George, if you don't adapt virtual selling and virtual door knocking, like you're probably going to look like a dinosaur. So it's a great conversation that you guys are having. So.
yeah, we've had an interesting experience with that. About 3 years ago, I made a shift from traditional marketing, like some TV and other things, and got completely off of it and went straight digital, SEO, SEM, all the pay-per-click stuff, and then social media. And I liked it just because I can measure it so much better than everything else that's out there. But then, and that was pre us doing much insurance related work. And then whenever we started doing that, that old model was very effective. And so we rolled it out and got guys knocking doors, and it brings in a lot of leads. We opened up a new market earlier this year, and we rolled out that same model, but that market was different in that there was a whole lot more no soliciting signs in front of neighborhoods. There was just a different vibe out there. And so we were forced to make a shift. And so, yeah, I'm certainly not ready to quit door knocking. It works, but I like things that I can measure, that I can scale out. And it's just another form, you know, if you can, face to face is great and all of that, but this is face to face in another way. And if we can deliver something in a smart way to a customer right away and stand out and not be the eighth guy knocking, then we may have an advantage there. But if any of our sales guys are listening, this is not an excuse to not knock.
Well, they are.
Any ideas quite yet.
Good stuff. Well, you know, we'll kind of round out the pro talk here with question about sort of larger impacts and your hopes, guys. And you know, I wanted to actually point out a couple of things, George, before we get to those answers on sort of the larger economic impact and sort of your hopes and dreams for sort of getting back to normal and getting back to business. But I'm going to share my screen real quick because I always like to show some pictures of the folks we got on, especially guys like this, who are, loving, this is the Louisiana lifestyle right here, right? I mean, but I love coming down and hanging out with you guys because this is what it's all about. And for those of you who don't know Jody Parker, I can't really actually click over that. There we go. There's Jody. Right, he's got a little asphalt life, and then there's Clay, Mr. LSU. So we're glad you guys are on. Check out George at Pelican Roofing and their Facebook page at Pelican Roofing. And George was actually featured on our Roof It Right series. So I'm going to see if I can tab over to this real quick. Here it is. So go check out George hanging out with Mike Holmes Jr. on the Roof It Right series from last year. And that was a pretty cool opportunity for you guys to make it right for a customer over there in Louisiana in an area that's pretty hard hit by algae stains on roofs. So, some quick shout outs for you guys, and especially more than anything, because you just hit the nail on the head. You got to be talking to other business owners. You got to be talking to other people who are out experiencing the same things. Clay, Jody, you guys are putting this to work every day with your sales meetings and Zoom calls and chats and just, keeping people, motivated, sharing best practices, and George talking to business owners. So reach out to this guy. And with that, what are your hopes for when we get through this, and where do you think the larger impacts are going to be? Jody, let's start with you, man.
Well, I hope that we go back to normal, but I don't think it's going to be just that way quickly. I think bigger impacts are going to be more of an advantage. Like I said earlier, we'll be able to do some of this with customers and not be in the same city with them. So we've, and you like to use the word pivot, we've pivoted very quickly to meeting with customers virtually. I met with someone that I've never met face to face. I did a Zoom call with them. Yeah. And so that was interesting. He was in his living room and I was in my office and we were talking. And so I think we've adapted this culture of working from home. And when we go back to normal, whatever that may look like, I think we're going to incorporate it into our day-to-day lives. Yeah. But big picture, I'm ready to get back to the normal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seeing some people face to face.
Yep. Clay, what about you, man?
Well, I'll just say, first of all, very thankful for the company I'm working with, for sure. And, I had my guys on the other day and, the theme of our meeting was, hey, be thankful that you're with Atlas and find a purpose every day. And I think that's what we've done for these, last 4 weeks. I think that's going to catapult us, and not to do any product placement here. I just know at Atlas, we have a lot of tools and, for years you pick which tool would work for the right person, kind of like what George was talking about. Right. Door knocking may work here and maybe not here. Well, the same with us. We have different tools that are adapted for everybody. And I think this is another tool that we're all getting used to. So I think when we leave here, I think this will be another tool in our tool bag for, for whether it's selling or just being in contact to help our customers, and back and forth. And, I'll just finish by saying we had a heck of a February and March going on here. So, as far as us on this call, in the South Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana area, I really envision things to kind of get back and scale up maybe in June. June and into the fall, I really do. Things are going really good. I think it's going to continue. So
opportunities are going to be there. I think it's a great point, man. Like, like we've been in economic downturns. We've seen really crazy situations before, unprecedented things before. I mean, until it happens, we haven't seen it before. And, here we all are. And, we're going to be talking about this 10 years from now, thinking about, man, do you remember that stuff? That was crazy. And I really believe that. But I think you're right. There's going to be a time where we get back out there and do our thing. And we're going to be different and changed. And some of us are going to be better for it. And some of us are going to sit there and say, this is the reason why I didn't get to do this. It's like, don't be that guy, right? Go take action. I think, that's the main thing. So George, take us home, man.
Yeah. I'll piggyback on that, Stan. My hope here is that I don't want to sound preachy or anything here by any means, but like I've just learned personally, professionally that that uncomfortable situations bring about a lot of opportunity, and I've spent a lot of years, avoiding those and not really facing them head on. Now I'm such a believer in pain being an agent for change that there's that initial resistance, but if we embrace it and look for the opportunity in it, it's really special. And so my hope is that, all of our employees, I've been talking about this, like, let this teach us something. Let's look for a way for this to push us out of what we're used to and find a new way. And if we collectively do that, we're going to be a whole lot stronger as a company and personally as well. So really my hope is that we, as a company, as a society, just embrace it as much as we can, learn from it and grow and come out better on the other side and tell a good story later.
Oh, yeah. Well said. Well, guys, that wraps some things up. Let's give a couple more shout outs to some folks that jumped on. Castillo and Co. wanted to say, what's up, Clay from Harlingen, Eric Whaley, John Carl. Thank you guys for being here. Mark Holloman, Chris Lindsay. Great to have you guys on. Our Asphalt Life prize pack winners, Christian Leggett and Rob West. So Christian Leggett and Rob West, we're happy you guys were on. And guys, this was fun, man. And thanks for helping me round out the week. Now we got to do our little toast. So it is Friday, so I got a little sour ale, which I'm not sure if it's beer or not. That's what I was told. So
cheers, guys.
Go into the weekend, guys. Cheers to all of you guys.
Really, thank you, guys.
Take care, Asphalt Lifers. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend.
All right. See you guys.
All right, bye, Josh.
Guys, we'll see you, man. Thank you guys so much for being here today.